You ever share a secret, and that instant you say it, you wish you could just suck the words right back into your mouth? Yeah, I used to think that was just, the price of being vulnerable. I thought being an open book was my superpower until it completely blew up my life. This isn't just another story about social media making you anxious. It's about how sharing way too much cost me everything. I had this belief that to be truly known was to be loved. My whole philosophy was be authentic, no matter what. I was lonely, and I figured the shortcut to making real friends was to just put everything out there from the start. In conversations, I'd blow right past the small talk and get straight into my deepest fears and insecurities. Online, I documented it all. My bad days, fights with my family, my most private thoughts. My social media feed was basically a public diary, and for a little while, it actually felt like it was working. I craved connection, and every time someone commented, "You're so brave for sharing this," or "Wow, I feel the exact same way," it was like a little shot of validation, a little dopamine hit. In person, friends would tell me I was a great listener, but honestly, I barely ever gave them the chance to talk. I was too busy broadcasting my own life to ever stop and think about who was actually listening. I thought I was building intimacy, but I was just spilling my guts to anyone who would listen, thinking it was the only way to be seen. Things started to go wrong, at first slowly, and then it felt like everything fell apart at once. It started when a friend started pulling away from me. See, I'd shared a really personal story. She told me in confidence, and I just wove it into one of my own rambling stories. At a party, I didn't think it was a big deal. I just thought I was being relatable. But to her, it was a massive betrayal of trust, and our friendship never bounced back. And she was right. I had turned her private pain into a throwaway line in my own public drama. Online, it got a lot scarier. I had shared so many details about my life, my favorite coffee shop, my work schedule, my anxiety, that total strangers knew my daily routine. It started with weirdly personal messages from people who felt like they were entitled to my time and my energy. Then one day, someone showed up at my job. They just walked in and said they felt like they knew me from my posts and wanted to talk. It was absolutely terrifying. Sharing my location or what I was doing that day had seemed so harmless, but it put my actual physical safety on the line. I realized that by putting everything out there, I hadn't just given people a map to my heart, but a map to my front door. The very thing I thought would cure my loneliness had left me feeling totally isolated and unsafe. The final nail in the coffin was when I got passed over for a huge career opportunity. During the interview, they asked about my online presence. I found out later that my super public posts about my mental health and personal drama were seen as a red flag for being unstable. My whole mission to be authentic had completely torched my professional reputation. That was my rock bottom. I had traded my privacy, my friendships, and my own safety for a cheap feeling of connection, and I was left with absolutely nothing. That's when it finally clicked. Vulnerability without any boundaries isn't brave, it's just hurting yourself. I had to learn the hard way that not everyone has earned the right to hear your story. So I made a change. I learned 3 big lessons. First, your story is a gift. You get to decide who's worthy of it. Real connection isn't built by shouting your life from the rooftops. It's built in quiet, mutual trust. The second thing was realizing there's a huge difference between being authentic and just oversharing. Being authentic is sharing who you really are, but oversharing is just dumping all of your unprocessed baggage onto people who never agreed to help you carry it. It makes people uncomfortable, and believe me, it pushes them away. And third, privacy is a form of self-care. Deciding to keep some things for yourself isn't being fake. It's an act of self-respect. It lets you build a foundation for yourself that doesn't need likes or comments to feel solid. It took a long time to rebuild my life, to learn how to set boundaries, and to be careful about what I share. If any of this sounds familiar to you, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear how you've tried to find that balance, and if you're on a similar journey of learning how to protect your peace, maybe consider subscribing. I stopped being an open book for the whole world to read. Now, I'm more like a private library. The stories are still in here, but they're only shared carefully with the people who have earned a library card. And in that quiet, deliberate space, I finally found the real, secure connections I was so desperate for all along.